Hey guys, what's going on? Flawless Exotic Creations, Will, Audra.
Hi.
Coming to you with another video. This one is going to be part deuce of the video we did pertaining to you want to be a breeder, you want to vend, you want to sell online.
What are some things you need to be taken into consideration?
Right, exactly. So we're gonna jump right into it. We were speaking about vending costs versus your
return on your investment.
Right. It's very, very important because even though we're producing animals, you want to make sure that it's going to be maximizing everything for you as the breeder. A lot of the bigger breeders, I mean, they create some insane animals where the cost of these animals are very, very high. So they can afford to vend certain shows and sell, let's say, for instance, the same amount of animals of a smaller breeder may sell and make substantially more than that smaller breeder. But you also have to think about your inventory. If your inventory only consists of, let's say, 30 animals that are sellable animals for your entire year, and it's irrelevant about how much each specific show costs, but if you're doing 5 to 10 shows and you're trying to move said animals, you also have to think about doing those 5 to 10 shows. The cost that you may incur may be sub $2,000, which, let's say, I don't know, maybe 8 of your animals may total the $2,000. So essentially you're trading 8 animals gone just to break even. Period.
Yeah.
That's something you need to think about when you're looking at your bottom line, versus if you are doing things online, your cost is going to be minimum at most, and you can do a lot of different things and, in our opinion, reap the rewards of both. Because you can network, you can market Instagram, you can go on lives, you can increase your fan base, your subscriber count, your followers. You can transform followers into customers.
I'll be honest, some of the closest people to us are people that we have met online.
Right, absolutely.
Like some of our mentors, some of our greatest allies, some of our greatest business assets have all been met and honestly nurtured. Those relationships have been nurtured online first. Right. We have jumped outside of the box and actually created moments now, a couple years later in the future from meeting those people. We've created these moments where we were able to meet in person and further that relationship in person, whether it have been meeting at a show for the first time or whatnot. But that was far after, putting ourselves out there on social media land and, paying for those ads and putting ourselves, getting our fan base built up, getting our support system built up. A lot of the people that you have never met in person are your greatest fans. We always say every time we come on YouTube Live, it doesn't matter whether we're on Flawless Exotic Creations or Flawless Crested Geckos, Frank the Tank is always in those comments.
Every single time.
And we have yet to get to meet him in person.
Right.
But we feel like he's part of the family.
Absolutely.
We legitimately appreciate and want to foster that relationship further. But it's all social media based and it's free, guys. Yep. Most of the stuff that you do, you can put a YouTube channel up for free and you can create relationships for free, and there's some of the most valuable ones across the board that you get. So you got to get out of the mindset of, oh, that's just the internet. I'm not comfortable with the internet. I'm not comfortable with that. Some type of
comfort level. There's plenty of people that are out there where you may see them in the mainstream and you're like, dang, you're aspiring to be at their level and they're not comfortable. We know some of them quite well and know that they're not comfortable, and we're like, we could never even know.
We would never know that.
But to dig deeper into it, you also have to, you're at battle with yourself a lot of time, especially the introverts. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. But you're at battle with yourself.
He's an introvert with extroverted qualities.
If you say so. But you have to, I guess, battle yourself for the sake of your business a lot of the time, because you need to be a people person if you're going to be in this industry and put yourself out there. If you're going to network.
He learned that from me, his people person, people skills.
If you say so.
You did.
And if you're going to put yourself out there and want to be notable for some of the things that you create while you're breeding, it's going to be necessary for you to do so. If you find it difficult, I mean, there's a lot of, how do you say, it's not time breaking. What's the glass breaker? What's that word?
Icebreaker.
There's a lot of ice breaking moments and things that you could participate in to try to ease you in. You could be an interviewee on certain channels. Maybe that they're not bigger channels, but you have a few people watching that kind of ease you into. We kind of just jumped into the boiling hot water when we started doing them. We're just like, whatever. But
we just took, I mean, we legitimately will. It's crazy because I feel like, I mean, we're very small in comparison to a lot of the YouTube channels out there, but there are some people that are literally just getting started and have like maybe 50 followers or something like that, or maybe they have a couple hundred followers or subscribers, and we like to go on those channels as well.
Yeah, we just go on everyone's
we will go on
channel.
Everything, you know, do everything. We will, you know, we're just like that. That's the type of people that we are. We feel like no matter whether you're starting out, whether you're the biggest name in the game, like
there's room for everyone.
There's room for everyone, and there's room for everyone to discuss things with each other. You
Which
can learn
also
from anyone.
increases your networking skills.
Exactly.
While on camera. So
you need to be open to that.
Definitely. Because also you got to think about it. If people aren't seeing you on screen, and we meet tons of people at shows when we're vending, as far as flawless crested geckos, that are starstruck, and we're like, stop it, you know, it's not that big of a deal.
It feels so odd to me.
It does. It does. But we're just regular people, but we love it because we're so welcoming to everyone who wants to come take a picture, you know, chat us up, whatever it may be. So we want to basically put it out there like that. We started Flawless Crested Geckos the same way. We did not vend a show for, it was close to 3 years. It was close to 3 years getting started. We were online only, putting all our time and energy into, you know, content, and wasn't even starting on YouTube yet. It was mostly Instagram and Facebook.
In fact, it took us a while to start on YouTube.
And we put it out there like that, and the very first show vended next to Bob Vu, networked with Bob, and make those connections, and was running around networking with Tristan.
Tristan.
I mean, the list is like lengthy.
Yeah,
you know, the amount of people we ended up meeting.
It's literally insane how many people, like, and two, there are so many wonderfully welcoming people in both aspects, in crested geckos and you know, ball pythons, but also both aspects of social media land and, you know, networking with vending and shows and the show scene. Like, you have to see the benefit in both, you know, areas.
Absolutely. And you got to understand the cost that's associated with it. You know,
you just need to know when to
Right.
utilize it and when to utilize
because
the other side.
But you also have to understand that your dollar is not everybody else's dollar. We did a video about that a while back. Same thing, whether, you know, I'd speak about Bob, the same thing. I mean, if we go to a show and you know, Bob is vending and Bob does, you know, let's say $5,000 for the weekend, that may not be worth it for that man's time, you know, but for us, it may be worth it to go and vend and make $5,000, and vice versa, whoever's out there. Some people look at it, oh, those numbers are huge. Well, are they huge? How big is your team? You know, do you roll out with, you know, a team of 4 or 5 breeders? You know, is it just you?
What's your overhead?
Yeah, what's your overhead? How much are your tables costing? What's your travel expenses? How much your hotel or your Airbnb? All these numbers need to go into it, and then when you look at the overall numbers, say, hey, also, those bottom line may be what it is, but did it make more sense for me to stay home do something online, market it, sell it online, and incur 10% of those fees. Maybe you didn't do the whole $5,000 in sales. Maybe you did $4,000. But if your expenses isn't $3,500 for the weekend and your expenses was $350,
then I
think that's pretty worth it
pretty
at that
worth
point.
it,
So
yeah.
you gotta know how to weigh your options. We find that a lot of people that we meet on the ball python side, they're super excited. They're super excited about the Flawless brand. When we're at a show, they're constantly asking us, "Hey, when you guys gonna bring the ball pythons out?" They're coming, but it's taking its own little road, its own journey, much like the geckos did for us. So we want to make sure that we jump out there with a bang. We follow Leviathan, Steven and Courtney. They're doing huge. They were
They're
out
so cool.
networking and going, attending shows way before they started doing, bigger YouTube videos and vending their own shows. But they're definitely following the same blueprint in their own way, where they picked a specific group of genes where they're going to focus on and try to put their name in a hat to be known for those genes and produce some outstanding animals and basically get put on the map in that sense. But when you're vending shows, you need to know, or you should be shooting to be, since the audience is so large, one of the higher, not necessarily higher end, but one of the higher breeders in your category while at a show. So if you have 100 ball python breeders at a show, let's say I don't know, 50 of them are working with, hypo. Well, how many of them are working with hypo ultramale pod? Where you're literally double visual, a head on one side, whatever, and you actually have these animals available. So you may end up being at the top, 5 to 10% of ball python breeders that's working with those specific genes, all in conjunction with each other, that actually have it on the table and presentable. Sometimes you'll fall into areas where we're trying to fall into as well, where you make those animals and they're available, but now you got to battle yourself, because are you really going to hold those animals back just to attend a show? Or are you going to take your pictures and post them online, and if they're still around for when the show comes around, then you take them to the show? Because a lot of time they'll sell before it's time to go to the show. Those animals are in high demand. These videos give you a lot of information to think about.
And that's the thing, like, one thing that we've always, been very clear about, which we haven't vended with ball pythons yet, but with the crested geckos, one thing we always said, whatever's online is online.
Right.
If it sells while our animals are on the table at the show, then it's taken off the table.
Right.
Like, it's,
if it's there.
if it's there. If we have an animal that is on the way to a show and it sells on the internet prior to it, it's not put on the table. But it's not pulled from the internet just because we're taking it to a show.
Right. I think that is probably, again, this disclaimer, this our opinion on things, but that's one of the biggest mistakes I've actually witnessed. Actually talking to a good buddy of ours at a show, was they shut down their morph market, took everything offline like a month ahead of going to a show, just to make sure that they would have some of their higher end animals available and on the table at the show. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure that you come out with a bang, but what you have is what you have. And it actually ended up backfiring for them, because they shut down their morph market, took everything down, so therefore you're blocking any potential reach or sales that you could have made online on morph market up until the show. And then you did a show and you didn't have the customer base that came out to said show. So you didn't get the sales of that show either.
The bottom line is you need to put your business first, as far as everything that you got to do needs to be in order to make said money for your business. You cannot sit there and think to yourself, well, people will be disappointed if I don't show up with this. Well, you're going to be disappointed when you don't have the sales to make
And
what
another
you need
way
to
to
do.
combat that, again, we don't like, putting things out there without hopefully making or providing a solution to it. Another way to solve that is, hey, you keep everything online up until maybe even the day of the show or a couple of days before. And if, your best of your best sold, then that's a major win for you. On top of that, now you're still gonna go vend this show, and you go and you vend the show, and you don't have the best of the best with you because it's sold already. So now, not only do you have that financial gain of having those funds secured already via the sale of those animals,
but you're creating desire for those people who are meeting you at the show.
Exactly, because you could tell them, hey, guess what? Couple weeks ago, whatever, you just missed out on X, Y, and Z. Take my business card. You can check us out on Morph Market. See our current listing month to month. We updated X, Y, and Z, and we're still going to be vending these shows. So come out and see us. But if you're needing said animals, check our current inventory online. You got to be able to go with both. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make or breeders make getting in. The other mistake is, we've said it before, they don't take themselves serious. They'll tell you they want to breed, they'll tell you they want to take it serious, but then when things don't align for them, they say, oh well, it's just having a little fun with it, or it's just a little hobby. Well, how can it be both? How can you want to make it, but then you just want, it's all right.
It's kind of when the going gets tough. It's like people don't want to feel less than confident about what it is that they're going into. They don't want to feel embarrassed by, that struggle.
Right.
And here's the thing, every business, every successful person, every single one usually falls a gazillion times before they make it. And that's the thing, like, we're still in the process of falling and figuring it out.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've had success, but, to us, it's important to stay hungry, to stay going.
Yeah. That we gotta keep moving forward.
Yeah, and to put in everything that we have into it, even though it's risky. And if something fails, we want you guys to know that this is not a good idea. This is what happens. We don't
want anybody else to fail just because we didn't get the information out there.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, they don't take themselves seriously because they don't want other people to know that things have failed for them.
And the things are is in plain view that people are not processing either.
Yeah, they're not processing it, that most of your successful businesses can see that. Most of your successful businesses can see that because they've been there.
Right.
They know that feeling, and they know what it takes to just, okay, let's stop saying this is a little hobby. Let's say this is...
Take yourself serious.
Yeah, this is my business. Yes, it's crappy right now, and I have messed up on this. This is a stepping stone.
I got this, I got that. But enjoy where you are. We talk about that with Darren all the time as well. Enjoy the moment of where you are, because guess what? Next year you're getting a little closer. The year after that you're getting a little closer. It's not a sprint. I mean, it's literally a marathon.
And the journey to success does not look like this.
Oh yeah, it's rocky little path. But to make sure that we close this one really, really well and don't come off with a part 3. We want to stay on topic of making these points hit home. We want to make sure that you know your goal when you're getting into breeding. And if it's going to be influenced, make sure it's being influenced in a positive direction and not in a negative direction. Know your not necessarily brand identity, but your breeder identity. What that corresponds with is, like we said, space, funding, knowing what you can afford at that moment, knowing what you cannot, knowing how many animals is your ceiling, not getting anywhere near that, knowing how many babies you're going to produce, knowing how many babies you're going to produce, and knowing whether you're out there networking or marketing or promoting or not, knowing how long you may have those babies before they sell. All that goes into your brand, your breeder identity. But also not confusing yourself. While we say know your goal, know your goal, know your goal, you got to understand something. There's hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of people out there that are into the ball pythons. And in this community, we have little communities within itself. And everyone's trying to build their own projects. And at the same time, people are wanting to make money and make sales. Well, it goes hand in hand. But you need to know something. You only have two options when you're doing this, and it goes across the board. It goes from the big dogs all the way down to the little breeders like ourselves. Two, you're either breeding to progress your projects, or you're breeding to produce animals to sell. Okay, they're very, very closely knit. And why do I say that? Because guess what? Everybody who's out there as a customer looking for their next animal, they want your holdbacks. They want your holdbacks. You know, if somebody's working in your project, your holdbacks is the animals they want. But your holdbacks is the animals you need to move forward. So, in a sense, you're producing animals that you shouldn't be selling because they will progress you further along. The animals you should be selling is the animals you miss your odds on. The animals that are not your holdbacks, because those animals will be sought after by other people chasing those projects that may be a tad bit behind where you are.
Just to kind of sum it up, know when to hold and know when to fold it.
Absolutely.
Period.
Because, you know, that monetary, we hear the horror stories from friends of ours that, you know, were amongst the first to create certain combos, and they figured they would create it again the next year, so they let that animal go and sell it,
and
they didn't for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And
it blew up during the time when they didn't have it.
Absolutely. So you need to know all that information. Hopefully videos like this will help you make conscious decisions on whether it's time for you to vend or not. Sometimes you need to prepare, and when you vend, make sure you vend big. And whatever big is for you, make sure you do that. Tablecloths with logos, have a brand, some type of signage.
Just eat, everything. Breathe, bleed your brand.
That's right. Even if you don't have t-shirts and hoodies and things for sale, make sure you have one for yourself. You know, they have companies that will make one just specifically for you.
Which is like our jerseys, for instance. We don't make these in mass production. They're not they're expensive. So it's like we can't legitimately sell them to make a profit. So these are specifically for us, you know.
For now. We'll branch off.
You know, eventually we may do some stuff.
But that's a whole nother branding and marketing and merchandising. You should check that out. But you
should at least have you a T-shirt or something that you can. Because honestly, you can go to Hobby Lobby and buy, what is that, Gildan T-shirt, and take it to a boutique around the corner, and they'll embroider stuff for you, or
even Vistaprint. They'll screen print T-shirts.
I mean, there's just so many different ways and opportunities that you can do things in a very inexpensive fashion to complete your whole look.
Right. And the bottom line is, a lot of people that they want to work up to actually vending a show, and it's awesome. But it's one thing to vend the show expecting to make some type of return versus vending the show not really worried about the return and making the networking worth it for yourself.
You need to figure out which one.
Right. And brand is very important, because
either way,
think about it from a customer's perspective. We go up to a table, awesome individual, we're meeting hundreds of people at this show, and they have a black tablecloth, no business cards, no logo, no nothing but beautiful animals, and we're trying our hardest to remember what was that person, what was that company,
was that?
And it doesn't ring a bell for you after you've had a pleasant, you know, showing, going to different vendors. You want to do something that stick out. And the price of business cards at this day, even what's the thing, the tap, you got the little tap, little keychains, you can set it up,
popple,
and it'll give you all your link tree and everything if you tap it with your phone. And there's very minimum cost that's associated with some of this stuff. We got to move with the times. Stop always looking for cash in hand transactions. That's another.
Well, people are so, you know, focused on immediate gratification.
Right.
And sometimes you got to actually, pretty much 90% of the time, you have to be investing in order to reap the rewards. You can't just hit it and quit it.
And if doing shows is your thing, you're gonna want to invest anyway. You're gonna want to get the tablecloths, the runners, all your enclosures, all that, because at the end of the day, it's all gonna be tax write-offs, as well as the show costs, fees that's associated with that, as well as your hotel fees, your meals, all of that stuff is gonna be write-offs. The only thing that's gonna really fall on you is putting yourself out there and making it big enough to where you can spring a profit.
Again, so to wrap up this video, part 2.
Yeah.
Of all of it is, like I said earlier, know when to hold it, know when to fold it. And basically that just is meaning know when these certain things that we talked about, funding space, just marketing, advertising, vending or not vending, know when it's time, when it makes sense logically and financially for your business, and when it doesn't.
Yeah.
And just act accordingly.
Yeah. And whether you like it or not, definitely go check out Morph Market. You should definitely sign up and get you a account over there. A lot of times you can do some listings for free. There's different tiers you want to sign up for, but to give you more food for thought before we leave you guys, let's say you go to a big huge show. Not even gonna throw a name of a show out there. Let's say you get 10,000 foot traffic, people coming through the door. Do you realize that Morph Market gets millions of views every day? It's something to think about. So what we're saying is you can go to Morph Market and you're looking for a pied, or you're looking for a blackhead, you're looking for this, you're looking for that, and just by chance you come across ABC breeder that you never knew anything about that happens to have a snake with the genes that you're looking for. Even if you don't purchase from that person, the point we're trying to make is it's essentially the same as going to a show, but you have a wider selection and it's less cost. It's starting to be a little bit more common sense. So, it's Will, Audra, Flawless Exotic Creations, and we are out.
Bye.